Chapter 6 Bally back in the Windy City. The wind in Chicago had teeth. Sharp, biting, and just mean for the sake of being mean. Bally stepped off the train in a charcoal suit so clean you could eat off it, cigar perched between his teeth like a permanent accessory. Marco trailed behind him, lugging a leather duffel bag full of cash, and something far less negotiable. Windy City, Marco muttered, adjusting his collar against the cold. Feels like the city's trying to mug my face. Bally smirked, lighting his cigar with a gold lighter. Relax, Marco. Chicago's just Memphis with worse pizza. The car that picked them up was a long black Cadillac, courtesy of one of the Chicago outfits trying to make nice. The driver, a kid no older than 20 with acne scars and nervous eyes, kept glancing at Bally through the rearview mirror. "You boys hungry?" the kid asked, voice shaking. Bally took a drag and blew smoke toward the ceiling. "Kid, if I was hungry, you'd already be missing your arm from me gnawing it." Marco snorted, trying not to laugh. The driver went pale and shut up for the rest of the ride. They were supposed to meet Vince Moretti, a mid-level boss who ran the North Side Rackets. Vince had been talking big about a partnership, but Bally had been in the game long enough to smell a setup through 2 layers of cologne and a wall of BS. Halfway to the meet, the driver took a wrong turn. Boss," Marco said, looking out the window. "This ain't the way to the club." The car slowed, tires crunching over cracked pavement. Bally glanced up, deadpan. "Kid, you take us to a chop shop, I swear to God I'll turn you into paste and spread you on toast." Before the driver could stammer a response, a group of 4 guys stepped out of the shadows. Leather jackets, baseball bats, and attitudes far bigger than their actual brains. One of them, a tall guy with a nose that had been broken more times than a bar tab, banged on the hood. "Yo," the guy barked. "Toll road, boys. $500 to pass through." Bally didn't even look up from inspecting his nails. "500? For what?" "The pleasure of looking at your ugly mug." The guy blinked, clearly not used to anyone talking back. "You deaf, old man? 500. Bally finally turned his gaze, slow and deliberate. His cigar glowed in the dim streetlight as he took a drag, then exhaled a lazy stream of smoke. "Lemme ask you something, champ," Bally said. "You see anybody else driving a Cadillac worth more than your mama's house rollin' through here? Or is it just me?" The thug frowned, trying to piece together the insult. "What's your point?" "My point," Bally said, stepping out of the car, "is you better take your toll and shove it up your." Before he could finish, Marco was already moving. A flash of steel, a grunt, and 2 bats clattered to the ground. The thugs scrambled like roaches, disappearing into the alleys without a word. Bally climbed back in the car, calm as ever. "Drive, kid. And next time, take the right turn." The meeting was in a dimly lit back room of an Italian restaurant on the south side. Vince Moretti was waiting with slick hair, a cheap suit, and a grin so greasy you could fry eggs on it. "Bally Buster," Vince said, arms spread wide. "The man himself. Welcome to Chicago, my friend." Bally didn't bother shaking his hand. "Cut the song and dance, Vince. You said you wanted to talk business, so talk." Vince chuckled nervously. "Relax, Bally. You know how it is. Little formality, little hospitality." "Hospitality?" Bally leaned forward, cigar glowing. "Hospitality is a drink and a steak. What you're giving me is indigestion." The room went quiet, tension thick enough to choke on. That's when the back door burst open and some nervous goon with a revolver stumbled in. "This is it," the goon yelled, voice cracking. "Take him now." He raised the gun, and immediately tripped over a chair, crashing to the floor with a grunt. The gun went skittering across the tile, landing at Bally's feet. Marco stared, stunned. Bally didn't even flinch. He picked up the revolver, twirled it in his hand like he'd been born with it, and set it on the table. "You know," Bally said casually, "I've seen some bad hits in my time. But this is art." The would-be shooter scrambled to his knees, stammering. I'm sorry, boss, Bally cut him off with a sharp gesture. "Save it, Vince. You wanna tell me why some clown just tried to ice me in your restaurant?" Vince's face drained of color. "Bally, I swear, I had no idea." Bally leaned back, puffing on his cigar. "You know what I don't like, Vince? Surprises. You know what I really don't like? People thinking I'm dumb enough to fall for a setup. Marco cracked his knuckles. Boss, you want me to? Bally held up a hand. Nah, not yet. Vince here's got a choice. Either he cleans up this mess and starts paying his respects like a good little boy, or, Bally paused, tapping ash into an empty coffee cup. Or I turn his precious restaurant into a very small parking lot. The room stayed silent for a beat before Vince nodded frantically. Yeah, Bally. Absolutely, Bally. You got it. Later, as they drove out of the city, Marco shook his head, still laughing. Guy damn near pissed himself, boss. Did you see his face? Bally smirked, flicking his cigar out the window. Yeah, Marco. Chicago's got a lot of wind, but it don't got no backbone. Marco chuckled. So what's the plan now? Expansion. Bally grinned, eyes on the road ahead. Expansion. And maybe a real slice of pizza. Christ, that deep dish garbage is an insult to Italians everywhere. End of chapter 6.